Some awesome. I don't even know who the other broad is. Man, you wild, Frank. You wild, Frank. Oh man. So anyway, they are back, ladies and gentlemen. Back on the block. You say you finally got a notification. I'm very glad, Isaac. I've been doing everything I can on my end to try to make sure y'all get notifications, man. I really have. Now, you say you miss Cari. Well, you won't have to wait long, buddy. The new Oprah and Gail. Jemele Hill and Cari Champion. They're teaming up and they're going to be on the Vice channel. Yep. So they're going to be on the Vice channel. And they're going to be you said, nice, I have Vice channel. Well, there you go. They were in the negotiations to do this show a long time ago, and things fell apart. Like when Cari left and her contract expired, she was trying to go into a position where they would, work together. They've been friends for years. Like she came out and defended Cari she defended Jemele Hill when the whole suspension happened, and a lot of them didn't come out and support Jemele Hill. So a lot of people didn't like the way she was fast tracked to the position. But Jemele Hill is never a person that really wanted that position. And the part that burns me up about it the most, the part that really like sieves and like sits with you and mess with you a little bit, is the fact that they didn't even want like LeBron James. LeBron James didn't even want. He didn't even want. What's up, Nicholas Jacobs? I will be doing a stream lab tonight. So I don't know if you guys will be up, but I will do one in about 2 hours. But Jemele Hill did not exercise herself to go into being on television. That was never a dream of hers. You guys got to remember, Jemele Hill was never had any dreams or aspirations to being on television. She's a writer. But LeBron James was the major spark plug into making this a reality. When she wrote the article about him and the King Kong thing, remember I showed y'all that when he was up there and let them use him as a pawn, and then he put the white lady on his arm sitting there, right? That LeBron James, who played the role of King Kong for Vanity Fair, she wrote about it. And when she wrote about it, don't forget to hit the like button, people. We got to get those likes up. When she wrote about it, it jumped off the pages. Everybody started to grab to hold to it, and she just really started blowing up. LeBron tried to get her removed. He tried to get her fired. Tried to get the woman fired. That's crazy, ain't it? Now, check this out. That didn't work. And since that didn't work, and they decided she was gaining a lot of momentum, they started saying, you need to be on television. She was working for Sports Illustrated before she came over to ESPN. Then she started working before that. She was with the Detroit Free Press. Then she went to the Orlando's and was writing columns. And then, she didn't even know how to construct columns at first. But the sports editor worked her out, and got her on point. And then eventually, when she was on television, they groomed her to where she found her voice, and then she was putting it into her columns. She was on Cold Pizza before it turned into First Take. Then she was on Around the Horn. And then that's when she met Michael Smith. And then they joined forces and they made the His and Her podcast. And then they made the ESPN, gave it some young, up-to-date flavor. But there's a lot of hate up at ESPN. A lot of people don't know that. Bergman, he's old school. The dude still have a flip phone, will not buy a new phone. He still has all his contacts on a rubber band. I mean, literally business cards on a rubber band, and he puts it in his pocket, and he calls people out of that. Take it out and look for numbers. That's how old Bergman is. Back. He could go all the way. So he is basically a sexist. He doesn't like women in the workplace, definitely. He has a problem with it. And having a problem with them having this position of power, this Me Too movement. That's why you saw the boomer kind of get pushed out. They couldn't fire him because he was the face of ESPN, but he was real disrespectful to Jemele Hill. And nobody seemed to wanted to take up for Jemele Hill back then, and they wanted to keep it quiet and under the rug. But when Jemele Hill do something or say something, they want to blow it all up in the papers. Nobody was talking about what Bergman did except for me. I'm the only one to open his mouth. Me. That's who. I was defending the sister who they kept quiet and couldn't defend herself. Now, Cari came in a different door. Because Cari was more groomed to being on television and everything else. She was all into tennis. She looked like a tennis player. She loved Venus and Serena growing up. Those was her girls. So she thought she was going to be like interviewing the president on the White House and working for CNN. That was her goal. She always wanted to be on TV. She was working on her body, working out, working on the treadmill, drinking water, keeping her body right, because she wanted to be into a broadcaster. But when she saw the Williams sisters, she wanted to do sports broadcasting. So she fell in love with tennis and started following it, and she started covering tennis for the Tennis Channel, and she wanted a career in sports broadcasting journalism. Because she was feeling insecure about doing the job, but then she's like, you got to trust your instincts and all of these different things. And she said, she's a more stronger on-camera personality with her delivery. Cari, you could tell she's more schooled at doing television than Jemele. Jemele has gotten more comfortable, but she has more of that off the cuff personality in her delivery than Carrie Fisher does. So they were happy ESPN gave them the opportunity, because normally they don't give people opportunity where a black woman could be, working Monday through Friday on national TV. They were just happy for that. Cari was on First Take, and people dogged her for being on there. And I used to have to take up for her, and then they put the black woman and pit them against the black men, and I didn't like that with the Stephen A. and Cari situation, and those two clashed, and that was the end of that. Well, they fired Stephen A. Stephen A. makes the most money of anyone in the network, and they were almost stupid enough to lose him completely. Not to mention, not to mention, these are the times that are changing for women. So a black woman at this time, you want to have as many allies as possible. And one of the situations that transpired was the fact that they were in a great bargaining position. Cari knew, like, okay, I don't like what they're doing here. They're playing like musical chairs with people's jobs, and that's not good. It's not. So rather than to go that route, we're gonna bet on ourselves. So a lot of people think everybody got their life all pointed out because you see them on TV. It's not necessarily true. It's not necessarily true at all. What they did was bet on themselves. They went out and said, "This is what we're gonna do." Right? We're gonna go out and we're gonna bet on ourselves. You said, "Buddy, love." No, it's not like that, buddy. No, the problem is they bet on themselves, but they knew what they were going to do. They knew that they have a better shot. They took a leap of faith. Cari knew that I have some worth. If they didn't want to agree to terms on a contract or anything, or they saying this is all we want to give you, I think I have a big enough personality, or I believe in myself enough, I can go out and get this done. So they went out to acquire it. And that's what they did. They went out to acquire that position. They went out and said, we're going to do our own thing. Now they had to negotiate this. Like, her contract just ended, so she was gone from ESPN. Jemele Hill, they basically were trying to get her out the door anyway. She was too controversial for them. So now, okay, fine. She did her podcast thing for a while. Now, okay, I've done my podcast. Now we finna come back, and this is it. See, Jemele Hill and Cari always wanted to talk about working together and doing some things. They actually went out and spoke to people before, sitting in chairs at conventions before. So probably this summer you're gonna see it. Now, Jemele Hill, she's been working at the Atlantic, and she was on Spotify, and she was debuted on a podcast on The Wire and The Ringer. So she was getting paid. Cari Champion really just walked out of her deal. I mean, her contract expired, and she was kind of, they were kind of going back and forth as what was going to happen, who was going to, setting up their next move, doing a podcast show together, kind of like Deezus and Mero does, but with some flavor and some balance to it. So they're going to have a 30-minute show from Monday through Friday. So they just was nailing it down on how they were going to do it. Spotify was also in the pitch as to putting out a podcast show with them too and sponsoring them. Spotify was also in the runnings. There was a lot of people in the runnings, but Vice ended up getting it, and Vice is going to put their show on. It's a 30-minute show, Monday through Friday. So for 30 minutes, you're going to see like a 30-minute podcast of, Jemele Hill and Cari Champion. So they're going to try that out, and then we'll see. They're going to see what happens. Now, are you excited? Hello? I don't know what happened. It's like the chat just crashed. I don't know if you guys can hear me or anything. It doesn't look like you can. Sorry about all that. I'm going to go ahead and end this because they disabled everything. And I can't see anybody's comments. I guess somebody's mad.